Hello and welcome back. So as you can see, the past week has brought some changes to the printer build. Most prominently the build plate that I bought. And I'm going to turn this off now because it's kind of annoying, but I wanted to show that it's really working. So yeah, I got the new build plate. I tried to go with acrylic material, but the acrylic that I got wasn't acrylic, and in the end I wasn't sure if it wouldn't flex too much and if it would work out at all. I might still try that, but right now I went for the option to buy a very big, very heavy aluminum plate. This is 6mm aluminum, and it doesn't flex at all. The backside it's about 7 pounds or 3.5 kilos, and that is really going to be in the way of going at a high speed. So I might still change that. I reached out to a number of sellers for sandwich material, and of the 5 sellers that I was contacting, 2 actually responded. One was a negative response. They won't sell to private people, and if they would, I would have to buy a very large amount of that stuff, and I don't think that I can work that away or sell it or whatever. But the other ones were very forthcoming, and I might actually try a sandwich build plate as well, which will have some issues to get it mounted, because you can't drill through the sandwich material and you can't put screws and bolts in there because it's hollow. But I'm going to push that back for a while, because this thing is actually working. I might have to go slow, yeah, granted, true, but it looks quite well. And it's also really good as to being flat because it's machined, and the way that it's parallel to the x-axis is pretty good too. So I'm really happy with that. Apart from that, this E3D Titan extruder arrived, which is cool, really cool. These are manufactured in UK, so I found a UK seller who's actually selling these here, and they still had some in stock. I also bought an Aero upgrade kit for that, so I can have the heater directly attached, so the construction isn't as high as it would be if I had to use the standard E3D V6 extruder. I have a set of these very cheap fans to cool the print. What I don't have yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get it, are the heater elements from E3D, which I wanted to have. And it turned out I ran into kind of an Amazon scam, because there was this UK seller claiming to be a real reseller, and I just found out that both of these parts that I ordered, which were a standard E3D V6 hot end and sorry, and a Volcano upgrade to that, they were both sent off from China, so I'm guessing they won't be the original. But let's see what happens. And it might take really long for them to get here. I do have a 25 watt E3D V6 Lite, and I might opt to put that on there for the time being. Or upgrade that to 40 watts. No matter. Alright, let's get this back off. Now, next steps at hand are, although this is already mounted and it looks quite good, I do have a vibration issue. And that vibration issue is caused by some of the acrylic that I used to mount the build plate. There's actually a problem with the screws that I recently bought, because the screw head from those screws is slightly larger than the ones that I was using before. And although the screws are better, now the acrylic won't join up completely, and there's a very slight hollow space between the two pieces of acrylic, and that leads to a little bit of flex in the table, and I have to get rid of that, so I'm gonna have to take it all back apart again. Apart from that, everything's really nice. The firmware's working out. I did build this makeshift extruder thingy here, this one, which is really simple, and it was basically just made from 3 parts and a heater block, and this is working really well. I never guessed it would. I used this with several filaments already, and this is working out really fine. I never thought it would, because I didn't think it would cool the clamp up here enough, but it does. And this does not have any PTFE. This here is an all-metal throat joined up to a 0.4mm nozzle, and they both join up in this aluminium block, which is just 10 by 10 millimeters, and it's fastened to the small CPU chipset cooler in a very simple way. And this is actually working really well. So I might try and do something with this, fit it to one of the other printers, or maybe even make an adapter so I can just put this on here. Really simple. I don't know yet, but it was just this is just one of those one of those freak things that happen from time to time. You build something, and although you didn't think it would, it just works out. It's kind of nice. Right, what else? Yeah, the next step is to take the build platform back apart again, get all the acrylic joined up completely, and then 3D print a mount for the extruder head and the cooling. And I can actually show this, I think. I have to make this fairly large, because it will have to start printing about here. Because I don't yet have all the parts for the extruder, I'm going to start out with this absolute El Cheapo so-called MK8 extruder. These are pretty popular on Amazon and eBay right now, but really you shouldn't buy those. These are next to useless, because the problem with this one, for example, is it is all put together. It looks quite well, but it doesn't work. The screws holding this thing together are so short that you can't put any mount in between that without running out of space for the screws. So, well, what's the point? Also, this cooler up here, it has the color on it, and once you put the color on it, the amount of heat that it can actually transfer away goes down quite a bit. So with this one, I had to basically get all this color stuff off again. Also sand down this piece of aluminium, because it would actually transfer more heat into the stepper than it would into the cooler, which is pointless. And so, for various reasons, among those, I do not recommend using them. I thought this was a real MK8 with an MK8 gear and everything, but this was just a frivolous purchase. But for a start, I'm going to mount it onto my tool holder here, so I can start printing with something, and let's see how it goes and how far I get with this. Yeah, I'm currently printing a mount for this, and then I'm gonna have to go out and see if I can get some longer screws, because these won't cut it, or if I have to remove this protector up here so I can gain about 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter that is missing. I'm sorry, I need to apologize. I accidentally kicked the camera stand a few minutes back and you missed a bit. But I need to start over anyway, and I can just explain what I'm doing again. Well, I have this piece of crap. I have this extruder and hot end assembly, and the fact is that all the screws that come with it are so short that you can't put it onto a mount, which basically makes it useless. But anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm taking all the screws that came with it, and I'm taking these really cheap, well, get them where you want screws, and I'm just taking these high power pliers and I'm cutting them down, and when I'm done with that I'm going to mount them into that, and yeah, that's what I need to do now. And this is, I thought I could use the other one, but it's just not ready yet. Well, that one is too long. So what I need to be doing is I'm basically rebuilding all of the parts that belong to this extruder. This is just this, really, you can't tell the difference, it's just a piece of shit. Because it doesn't work. I have another one, and the coating on here is basically very counterproductive to getting heat across there, so I'm going to have to file this down a bit. I'm going to have to remove the coating here, and in the end it's going to work out, I believe, but it's going to have been a lot of work, unnecessary work, because usually I expect that when I buy ready to go extruder, then it should be working. Yeah. So I'm doing the same for the mount on the x-axis. I did this print and it went reasonably well, and I could have made it a bit sturdier, I guess, but the way this looks right now, this is just for a tryout. This is good enough. Yeah, maybe I should have cut that screw before I cut the other one. Before I screwed in the other one. That wasn't too smart. So let's try again. Measure. And hope that you don't cut too short. Yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing now. And when I'm done, I kind of hope that everything comes together in a way that I can test it out and get some simple sample prints out of this printer. I did go ahead and measure if the build plate and the X arm, if the two of them are perpendicular and no parallel now, and the answer is yes, very much so. It's about 0.1 degrees, and I can still get that set up correctly, but I'm going to wait until the extruder is mounted, because that of course adds a little bit of weight to the whole assembly, and if that weight is enough to eliminate that 0.1 degrees, then so be it. Yeah. So as you can see, I started cleaning away most of this eluxation or paint. I don't know if this is a chemical process or if there's a deposition process to get this paint on, but you can actually see that this heatsink wasn't flat at all. So this was not taking any heat off the extruder except from those 2 points where it was screwed in, and I already took away quite a lot of that, and you can also see that the layer of the coating is really thick. So these cheap extruders are really no good. I'm going to clean this off until it's all aluminium, and then I'm going to clean the other side off a little bit too. And when I'm done with that, I'll put it back together and let's see if this improved the situation. I hope so, and I think it will have. Alright, it's done. This is flat, the other part is flat too. Both have exposed aluminium. That took a little bit more time and muscle than I had anticipated, but let's see if it'll hold together. This looks, at least it looks good. I know it's not, but it feels kind of good. So the extruder is on, the clamping mechanism works, everything seems to be aligned correctly, and we can be sure that we're transferring some heat away from the throat of the heat block. Right. So let's get this wired up and see if we can zero it. This is what it looks like from the other side, and as a matter of fact, it's actually working. It's not working perfectly yet, but the heater is working, the motor is, the stepper is turning into the right direction. The temperature sensor is working. The calibration for the length of the movement, that's off by about a light year or two. But apart from that, yeah, it works, and it's not, well, it's not super strong on there, but it's not as bad as I expected. For a makeshift solution, this isn't bad at all. Now, I don't think that I'm going to be able to calibrate everything within the next couple of minutes, so I'm calling it quits for today, and I'm going to continue tomorrow morning. I'm kind of happy. After about 2 hours of work, this extruder, 2 hours of work, most of the screws replaced, the fan grill trashed. After that, it apparently seems to work. And if the distance between the driver wheel, the driver pulley, and the throat of the extruder, if that can remain the way it is, and it's not too short, so it means that the extruder is not working against its heatsink all the time, then I'm pretty sure that this could even be used for a while until I have all the parts for the E3D extruder. So yeah, a bit of a surprise in the end, and it appears to start working. That's nice. So, good morning. It's the next day. I already went ahead and I uploaded an updated firmware to the Arduino, which is now set to have all of the coordinates of the table, the available print area, and the settings for the extruder. And what I want to do now is I'm going to prime the extruder with some filament, right, and see if it, first of all, if it extrudes at all, if it heats, and if everything is working as expected. I pulled the settings for the pulley off the internet, and I hope that is somewhat correct. From a first look, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, so I'm going to turn the heater on now. Let's see what happens, or let's see if anything happens at all. So heater is on. You can actually see it heating up now. This appears to be working okay. Yeah. And as soon as it reaches about 150 degrees, I'm going to start feeding filament. And I don't really mind if it's not 100% set up. All I want to get it to do is basically go down, extrude something. I'm going to clean it off, and then I want to try and do some sort of print on this blue tape and see if anything happens at all, or if it's just completely crooked. It's just a first try. So we're at 150 degrees, so let's see if we can get anything in there. Yeah, that went completely wrong. That did not work. It actually missed the feeder tube. That is not good. So second try. So by the looks of it, it's actually feeding, but it's not getting anything into the throat. Well, I expected this to go easier. So what's wrong with this? Oh, it should be down in there. Nope. Oh, that feels better. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, that does not sound too reassuring. We're at 185 degrees, going up to 200. Yeah, that's better. That is better. It's still somewhat low. As you can see, we're at about 200 degrees. It's holding quite well. And judging from the PWM that I can see on the LED, it's not fighting it. It's not fighting the fan or the cooler, so that should be good. But we're still getting very little extrusion. Well, we're still at a level where we can go up a bit. So I'm going to put something on there, slice it, and see if we can get it to lay down some filament on the blue tack. Yeah. I've prepared an object, I've sliced it, and let's hit the print button. I will have to make sure that all of these cables don't actually touch. There's nothing tightened down. I haven't figured out how if I'm going to use some kind of cable protection or a chain or something. And most of the cables are still too short, even though I did make them a bit longer. So yeah, but let's see how it goes for a start. Hitting start. So we get the zeroing of the table. It should put the print right in the middle. Where you can see it. Oh, you won't be able to because the table's going to move. Right. Yeah, just putting this here. So it's now heating up to 210, which should give us a slight edge. Oh yeah, it's actually sticking down. It's kind of messy, but it doesn't look bad. I virtually have no information about this extruder and what type of speeds or extrusions it can handle. So expect problems. And you can already hear that I'm probably going too fast, and it seems to be over extruding quite a bit. Oh yeah, it's over extruding a lot. Yeah, that didn't work. So I'm killing the print. But it wasn't a complete waste of time, because we could see that it's extruding and that it's somewhat working. So this is a lot thicker than it should have been. So I need to reduce the steps per millimeter for the extrusion, but I am going to keep it heated up, and let's try to mark the filament and see how far it extrudes. So we need a pen. Alright, we've got pen. We need something to measure with. Well, that's a bit... I don't have anything better right now. So that's roughly 10 millimeters. And let's have it extrude 10 millimeters. Yeah, that is way more than 10 millimeters. That is like 30. So I'm reducing the flow rate down to 30%. I can't even reduce it that much, so I'm going down to 50. That would still be too much. But I wonder why I'm so far off. That must not be a 200 steps per revolution stepper. That must be on. Well, no matter. Let's just try again. Put all the mess away. Yeah, that looks a bit better. It's still over extruding, but that looks a lot better. Maybe it's gonna stick down and it won't rip it off. This blue tape needs a few goes before it really sticks down. And the build platform, the aluminium, is very cold. It's really cold in my basement. I did reduce the jerk value for the firmware, so it wouldn't put that much vibration on the build platform, but I might actually need to go lower than that. Ah, ripped it off again. Well, too bad. So that also didn't work. Yeah, I'm gonna need a few more goes at this to definitely reduce the steps that this stepper is doing. That's the wrong screwdriver. Because we're over extruding, we're a bit too high. We need to go a little bit lower, but no, that was expected because this is not 100% parallel yet. We're off by about 0.1 degrees, but that is still within those limits that I can manually change. I was worried that it would be more, but 0.1 degrees, that's doable. Yeah, a bit more work, but as you see, it's already doing something. I redid all the settings for the extruder. I uploaded a new version which has significantly less extrusion steps per millimeter, and I also just saw that this screw fell out of the extruder while I was doing a print. So this isn't going well. I'm gonna try to put that back to wherever it belongs and maybe put some Loctite on it so it stays where it belongs. Yeah, I'm not really happy about all this. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but yeah, it's not going well. All right, yeah, I'm gonna turn the camera off for a while and see how I can rework all of this. And for some reason, Repetier Host has just quit working completely and has forgotten all of the settings I put in for this printer and the new dimensions and everything. So yeah, maybe it's time for a little rethink. Yeah, this is really funny. This extruder is, I think it's the copy from a copy from a copy from something that wasn't good to begin with. And this screw is usually in here to hold this spring, but it's actually so loose that the vibration from the fan caused it to completely remove itself. Yeah, so I've got tons of Loctite on it now. I'm waiting for it to solidify a bit, so I can put it in there. This extruder is this is an absolute disaster. I don't think that any more can go wrong with this thing. It's just so awful. The best thing about this screw is you're not even supposed to put it in all the way, because if you do, you can't tighten down this other screw anymore. And that is just simply the wrong size. And the only function that it has is to keep the spring in place. So I don't know who designed this, but man, he did one hell of a job. And the person who copied it did another swell job. and I think so. This must be the copy from a copy from a copy, because it's just all wrong. Yeah, and the stepper is the wrong one too. So this, in the end, this has like 40 steps per millimeter, which gives it a resolution of about 0.025 millimeters, which in return for the dosage of filament is like nothing. That is really bad. So I'm really happy that I only paid like 29 euros for it, and I actually gave it a 1-star review on Amazon, and they immediately removed it from the store. But that was still better than they deserve. This thing is such a piece of shit. I read that there's some original copies from the MK8 which actually have a 7mm pulley wheel and everything is set up, but this is like 11mm, and it's all so loose and such crap. Yeah, it would be funny if it wouldn't be taking so much time. Yeah, I'm gonna put it back together and see what happens then. So this is the next test, after basically taking everything apart and putting it back together again. I actually don't expect this to work, but I'm hoping. In the end, basically all the configuration things were wrong for the extruder. All the information they supplied was wrong, and all the information that I assumed would be right were wrong too. Also, I had to disassemble the extruder again to check for the steppers and all of those things, and I think I have it set up somewhat correctly now. It might be off by 5 to 10%, maybe even a bit more, but I'm getting really close. And this print might actually go through, so let's see. And it does look a lot better now. It really does. I had a few tries and it ended with the extruder basically tearing itself apart. There still is some vibration in the print bed. I'm gonna have to take care of that manually by adding a roller under one side of the board and giving that some tension. But it's still somewhat within reasonable amounts, something that I can manage. So I'm just gonna let this print now. I don't know if I'm gonna let it finish, but I'll just let it go for now. Enjoy it. Yeah, by the way, how do you like my makeshift filament holder? It's really high performance copper cable holding almost a complete spool of PLA. That is some real quality. Okay, I stopped this print because I think I've seen what I want to see. Mainly that it's printing alright. I have some vibration issues. I'm going to take care of those. I know what it is. The overhangs here look very well. The filament flow is okay. Not great, but okay. There's some visible vibration. I'm going to take care of that one too. And then I'm going to try and print something slightly bigger and higher. Yeah, but for a start and for the first try of this extruder with the values I calculated and that I don't even know if they're correct, the result is really good. So this is, yeah, I suppose that's it for today. See you in the next video.